Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Here on this Monday evening, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs subscribe, please do so, and share the video on all social media platforms. Tell your friends, tell your family about the channel, and make sure to click that bell so you'll get notified whenever we go live. Good evening, Kevron. Glad to have you here. As always, in Kevron, you know that every day is a good day to be a Clemson Tiger fan. But I'm actually going to be doing two YouTube videos tonight, pretty much two back-to-back. So when I finish this one, I'll be on here again within 5 minutes. But it's because it's two different topics. This one's going to be kind of lengthy. The other one shouldn't be lengthy at all. But it's two different topics. And I don't want you to get confused on what I'm talking about when. And the other one is kind of important as well. So I'm going to do this one, and then I'm going to jump right off and then jump right back on with another one. It's completely all preseason preview video in a while. So I felt like it was about time to do another one. If my recollection is right and my memory is correct, so far I've did Baylor, Miami, Florida, Florida State, LSU, Ohio State, and Penn State. And I think that's the 7 I've done. And if I'm correct, this will be number 8. I usually do between 20 and 25 from the time I start, which is usually around mid to late April. And I'll go when the season starts. Usually do about one a week, maybe 2 a week on occasion. They're always fun to do, but they're hard to do, and they're getting harder and harder because of the whole transfer portal thing, NIL stuff, because the rosters you see in April and March aren't always the rosters that you see come September. And then, you know, the season starts, and then 3-4 games in, half a team's roster decides they're going to transfer, and then your preview on that team changes all over again because the quarterback's different, the linebacker's different, the kicker's different. So it gets harder and harder every year. Hey there, Ediths. Glad to have you here on this Monday evening. I'm going to do North Carolina because I did them last year. And if you recall, last year they were awful. They had Freddie Kitchens as the offensive coordinator. And I still say the only reason Belichick hired him is because he was an NFL guy, and Bill wanted NFL guys to follow him to Chapel Hill. But Freddie Kitchens might be a good offensive analyst, maybe a quarterback coach. Maybe he can be a film guy. But Freddie Kitchens just does not understand down, distance, environment, line of scrimmage, and none of that stuff. He's liable to come out on 1st and 10 and run a quarterback sneak, and on 4th and 1, throw a 40-yard bomb. He just doesn't understand nothing about an offense. So, of course, he's not there anymore as the offensive coordinator. Now it's Bobby Petrino, who's got plenty of experience as a coordinator. Now, Bill Belichick's son, Steve, is still the defensive coordinator. But North Carolina is going to look completely different, especially at the quarterback position. Now, last year, they were 2-6 in the ACC and 4-8 overall. Thank you, Jacob, for the kind words. I appreciate that. And Jacob, if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe to the channel and tell your friends, tell your family all about the channel. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up, and share the video on all social media platforms. But last year they had, at one time, they had Max Johnson at quarterback. Now, if you recall, Max Johnson started out at LSU, then Texas A&M, and then North Carolina, and now he's at Georgia Southern, so it's fourth school. But now Max Johnson is the son of Brad Johnson. Now Brad Johnson played for the Vikings and the Bucks and the Redskins back in the day, and he actually won a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers. But Brad Johnson now lives in Athens, Georgia, for all of you Georgia folks that watch the channel. So Max Johnson played high school football at Oconee County. So Georgia Southern is actually the closest, but he got hurt. But they used different quarterbacks. They also used Gio Lopez, and Gio Lopez was a transfer from South Alabama. And of course, competition was, way different, but there's no way Gio Lopez is as bad as he was last year, because if he was as bad as he was last year at UNC, he wouldn't get a scholarship from anybody. I mean, he was absolutely brutal. So, of course, he's transferred again. Now they have Travis Burgess, one of their quarterbacks, who is a four-star recruit from Grayson, Georgia. Speaking of Georgia quarterbacks, they also have Teron Dickens, who is a transfer from Western Carolina. And he said they have Miles O'Neill, and they also have Torrey Newkirk at quarterback. I think Teron Dickens will when the season starts, but I don't know if he'll be there all year long. But I can tell you, I've seen Billy Edwards at Maryland and Wisconsin, and he's not any good. Don't know much about Miles O'Neill or Torrey Newkirk, but I can tell you I've seen Billy Edwards, and he's not very good. But I think due to experience, Teron Dickens will start the season at quarterback, but I don't know if he'll have the job all year long, because Travis Burgess is really, really, really good. But their offense will definitely be better with Petrino than it was when they had Freddie Kitchens. And you subscribe. Well, thank you, Jacob. I really appreciate that. So North Carolina will have 2 off weeks this year. Most teams only get 1, but they get 2 because they play in week 0. So their week 0 game is TCU on the 29th from Dublin, Ireland. That game is going to start at noon, and I believe they played TCU last year in week 1, and folks were excited about it because it was Belichick's first game, and TCU just absolutely destroyed North Carolina. And then after that, week 2 for them, but week 1 for everybody else. The first weekend in September, North Carolina is off. And then they'll play East Tennessee State on September 12th. And then they'll play Clemson on September the 19th. And then they'll have their second bye week in week 5 for them, which is the last weekend in September. Appreciate that, Jacob. It means a lot. I really do appreciate that. I'm trying to grow the channel, so I always appreciate hearing the kind words. And then they'll open up October on the 3rd at home against Notre Dame. And then on October 10th, they go to Pittsburgh. And the following weekend, October 17th, they go to Duke, which used to be for many years was always the final game of the season, or the next to the final game of the season. Now it's about middle of the season. And then the following week, they're home against Syracuse on October 24th. And then they wrap up the month of October on Halloween against Miami. And that's a home game. And then they open up November by going to UConn. It's kind of strange to see them going to UConn in November. Not an early season game, but in November. And then they play at home against Louisville on November 14th. Then they go to Virginia on November 21st. And then they'll wrap it up at home on the Saturday after Thanksgiving on the 28th of November against the NC State Wolfpack. Now, TCU is also going to look a little bit different because their quarterback transferred as well. But in game 1, you've got a brand new quarterback. You've got a brand new offensive coordinator, not new to calling plays, but new to North Carolina. So I think they lose to TCU. But it wouldn't surprise me to see them win that game. TCU is just an average team. But the Tar Heels, off a 4-8 season, I don't expect them to improve a whole lot. So I'll give TCU a win in that game. But I think they beat East Tennessee State. And I think they beat UConn. Now, UConn was really, really, really good last year, but I don't expect them to be that good again this year. And then I think they will lose to Notre Dame. So 2-2 out of conference, defeating East Tennessee State and UConn, but losing to Notre Dame and TCU. So 2-2 out of conference, just like last year. 2-2 out of conference. Now, last year they were only 2-6 in the ACC. This year, I say they go 3-5 in the ACC. I think they go to Pittsburgh and beat them, and then I think they win the home game against Syracuse, and I think they win the home game against Virginia. But they've got a lot of games that I could see going either way. I think they'll lose to Duke, but I don't expect Duke to be near as good as they were last year. So I could see them winning that one, and I could see them beating NC State. I don't think they beat Clemson. I don't think they beat Miami. That game should be absolutely, completely a blowout in Louisville's favor. And I don't think they beat TCU, but I could see them beating Duke, and I could see them beating NC State. So even though I've got them 3-5 in the ACC, 5-7 overall, which would be one game better than last season, because they have the swing games against TCU and like Duke and NC State. If they went 7-5 or 8-4, it wouldn't surprise me. But I just don't see that much improvement from last year when you're still indecisive on your quarterback. We don't know what to expect out of the running game. And the defense can't be as bad as it was last year. So they've got some swing games on here, but they're not beating Clemson. They're not beating Notre Dame. And they're not beating Miami, and they're not beating Louisville. So those 4 games, I think, are losses. So I could see them winning every other game, but I just don't think they will. I just still don't think Belichick is fully in tune with being a full-time coach. He's still worried about other stuff besides coaching. You were hideous last year on offense. You still don't seem like you're taking it too serious, because it's obvious that Belichick is not there to win football games, but yet you're keeping the guy around. So I'm still not convinced the Tar Heels are too worried about football. But still, 5-7 is better than last year. Only better by a game, but hey, it's better. So I've got them 3-5 in the ACC with conference wins over Pittsburgh, Syracuse, and Virginia, and then 5-7 overall with non-conference wins against East Tennessee State and UConn. But as I always say, the teams I have them winning and losing to really don't matter. The key thing is what I have their record as, because if they go 5-7, but I've got all 5 wins wrong, it doesn't matter. I was right with the overall record. So I've got them 3-5 in the ACC, 5-7 overall. Any thoughts on any of this? Please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Bob just opened a fireworks store. Business is booming. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like In pro wrestling, life can be over by the count